just found out they have to be connected. What do you mean? What do you mean? What has to be connected? You mean Coinbase and Coinbase Wallet at the same time? What do you mean? I see you unmuted your mic. I don't know if you're talking. No. Chat. I can't. If you're talking, I don't. I can't hear you. I see your thing moving, but I can't hear you speaking. I'm trying to withdraw from. Oh, Rise and their support is useless. Okay. Okay. Would I've never had that issue. Because with my broker, it's just Coinbase because I control the like keys, but the it's just Coinbase, and then I just transfer it to my wallet. So I don't know how the process works because you're doing it with the prop firm. I don't know how it works for that, but for me and deposits and withdrawals, all I have to do is place a withdrawal on and just type the amount that I want to withdraw. And what it'll do, it'll give me the link, and all I have to do is go to my Coinbase and hit the receive button. And when I hit that receive button, I could just copy and paste that link that Athens gives me, and I will put that, and it'll just transfer it straight to my wallet. That's what it does for me. And if I'm depositing, it's the same thing. I would just buy it, and I usually use, yeah, receive button on the like the app itself. Let me see if I can find it to give you. Where's Coinbase? So if I go to Coinbase right now on my app and I go to the home button, there is, let's see. It depends, like if I'm receiving Bitcoin, receiving it in Bitcoin, what I'll do is click on the Bitcoin, and then there'll be an option that says transfer. And then once I see that transfer button, it'll say receive crypto. Let me see if that makes sense. The Coinbase, you can't, oh, my mic is muted because it started sharing it. Microphone error. Just hearing beeps. It won't even let me unmute my mic. Let me see. Oh, start audio. Okay. Let me see something. Nah, nah, it's me. It's me. It's not you. It's me. Start audio. Let me see. Let me stop screen share. Question. It won't even let me speak. Let me leave and come back. Let me see. Yeah, for some reason, what is going on? This is crazy. For some reason, my audio isn't working. It says Turn off microphone. That's weird because my mic is playing through this, but it's not playing on this. That is actually weird. Microphone, microphone allow on every visit. What if I changed it to this? Let me see. It still says it's not doing it properly. Microphone, built-in, road, allow visit on every time. Wow, connection is secure. Let me turn it off, turn it back on. Reset permissions. Allow while visiting the site. Boom. Like, what is going on? 1 second. Let me refresh this. So tired though. I don't know why my mic isn't working in the chat. That is what it is. We just stay calm. We just adjust and all right, 1 second. I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end the stream. What the hell? Why isn't it working? This is actually interesting. How all of a sudden it's not even let any of my mics connect. This is crazy. None of my mics are connecting. What is going on? I want to break down this GU trade. I'm trying to get the community. I'm trying to get because I know YouTube. I know my mic is working on everything else. I know it's working on YouTube. I see everything working on OBS. But for some reason, in my community, it is not that my audio is not working. I have no idea why. Start audio. Let me turn this off. What if let me share my screen. Let me see something. If I don't share the system audio, just share the screen, try turning on the mic, it's still not working. Okay. This is interesting. Very interesting. One second. I got you guys. One second. Audio output. G is playing out. G is looking clean right now. Came up, created a higher low. As long as price maintains above this area of support, buys will still be valid. So you keep holding this trade. Microphone. Okay, it says the microphone is connected this time. Camera in use. I just look at this as a beautiful opportunity. Honestly, I just look at this as a beautiful opportunity. Oh, it wasn't even my computer restarting. Am I still live on YouTube? I don't know. Let me see. Am I still live on YouTube? Am I still live on YouTube? I am. Okay, cool. Got that right. That's absolutely. This is a beautiful opportunity. Honestly, I look at it as an opportunity. When these things happen, these technical difficulties, is just an opportunity for me to either overreact and get mad and upset or just stay calm and just adjust. There's literally nothing I can do but adjust. Me getting anxious, me getting upset, me getting mad, it's pointless. That doesn't change the situation. I could be mad all day and it still don't work. There we go. We in the game now. There we go. Now we got it. Now we are in the game. Now we are in the game. Like I said, there's literally nothing I could do but just be calm. As my computer was resetting, as all of this was playing out, I was just talking to myself and just saying, like, yo, just there's nothing you can do. Be calm. You can do one of two things. You can get mad and upset and be anxious and try to rush and try to do 1,000 things and have your mind going at 1,000 speed per second, or I can just stay calm in the moment because regardless of the technical difficulties or not, there's nothing I can do about that. What I can do is control my emotions. And throughout the entirety of the time, I'm like, yo, just be calm. But it's what it is. It's been 15 minutes. if I let a simple technical difficulty, if I let something as small as a worldly thing cause me to allow emotions to come into place, that it just shows how weak I would be spiritually. And there should be no reason why I should allow something like that to happen. So that's why I was like, yo, just be calm. Because I knew the mic was working. Because I was looking at my OBS, I was looking at every single thing else. It was working perfectly fine. And it was just on this specific app in particular that wasn't working. So it should be good money now. So yeah, back to what I was saying with the Coinbase thing. When you are well, go ahead. No, you can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. You explain yourself. See if your mic works now. Yes, I can hear you now perfectly.
I know you. I know you may not have dealt with this, but so
Hmm.
my understanding is that I have to connect Coinbase. The
Hmm.
Coinbase wallet is now called Base. Is that correct?
Are you talking about like like if I open up my Coinbase? Hold on, let me see, because there might be an actual.
There's on the apps. There's
Hmm.
two apps. One is called Coinbase, and one is called Base, formerly Coinbase Wallet.
Where you see that at?
When I was downloading the apps in the App Store.
Oh, you're looking at different apps. Okay, let me see
Right.
something. Let me
So I
see something.
downloaded both apps. I went to the App Store. I downloaded Coinbase,
Uh-huh.
and that was not a wallet. So then I went back and I looked up Coinbase and it said Base, formerly Coinbase Wallet. So now I have two. Can I show you these pictures? Now I have two apps on my phone.
You only need one.
I only need the wallet.
Yeah, you only need where do you see base? Oh, I see what you're talking about. Base formerly
Mm-hmm.
Coinbase wallet. Yeah, you don't need that one. You just need the regular Coinbase one.
Okay.
This one? Oh, my camera's right here.
Hold on. Yeah, I went to check my trade. Yeah, I have that one.
This is the only one that I use.
So that's also a wallet.
Yeah.
So then why do they have two apps calling one base?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that other one is because if you look at it, the Coinbase one, that's number 5, number 25 in finance, and has 1.8 million reviews. Cause yeah, I do everything within that one app because I have all my money. I have it sitting in this app. I transfer within this app. I withdraw through this
Mm,
app. My bank account, it goes straight to my bank account through this app. So everything, it all runs within this one app.
okay.
Yeah, I never used that other app. I've been using Coinbase. Coinbase, I think I use Coinbase ever since I started trading. That's the for the past 5 years. I've
Mm-hmm.
mainly only used Coinbase. The only other app that I used was Kraken, and that was just like for a little bit, but it was mainly just Coinbase. That's what I've used forever.
All right.
Cause yeah, I can transfer, do everything from there. Let me see something.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. Now after the technical difficulties, we still show up. Hope
Of
you all are
course.
having a blessed, beautiful, amazing day. Appreciate you for joining, Christian. I know Leah was in here. I hope that she's able to join back and that she sees this one. But other than that, let's get active. GU is looking beautiful right now so far. I'm looking to target up into the previous resistance into the highs to see how it plays out. This trade was beautiful. When the market opened Sunday with the whole whatever happened, the Iran thingy, the market came down here, rejected, came back up, And what I saw recently was price was trading back at this previous area of support. So I knew the market was trading bullish. I knew the market was trading at an area of support. Now I just needed that candlestick entry for me to enter. What happened was price was trading at previous support and price came back down into support and it started rejecting it and it started consolidating on this 5 minute time frame. What I saw was price consolidating, and my entry was right here after this candlestick close because price was consolidating at the support and none of these candles was a engulfing candlestick. None of these candles engulfed the wick of the other. You can see it was just dojis, came back down. Here, this was another bearish candlestick, and this was the first candlestick that actually gave a bullish engulfing. It engulfed the body and it engulfed the wick. So once I seen this candlestick closure, I immediately entered the trade here, and price came up, came down, respected this area. What I'm looking at, as long as price maintains above this major, because this is a key area of support. If we look over here at left in the past and just see that this is the zone that price was trading at, this was a major area of support. And I see that when price held a support here, where is the first place that price, I'm also going to make sure that I just realized this. I want to observe this area right here too. I want to observe these highs on this 4 hour time frame. See if price actually closes above here, because price didn't close above here once or twice. If price closes above here, then price could potentially come up into the actual highs. But when I look left, I see where is the nearest place that price reached once it rejected this area of support. This area of resistance is up here. Yes, I can mark this off. But the nearest area of resistance, the nearest area of resistance was right here. The next major one is up here. So I'm going to target the nearest one first. And if price breaks above, then I would target the next resistance range up here. Because when price rejected here, it came up to this range here. And then it came down, created a higher low. No way. You can't see the screen. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. That would was you not able to see my screen this entire time, or did it just do that? I can't even see my screen. One second. Yeah, let me know. Let me know. Was you not able to see my screen this entire time, or okay. I just rejoined. Okay. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. Because it doesn't even let me stop sharing my screen on here. That is interesting. Let me see. This is very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. This is actually a very beautiful opportunity. It is working perfectly fine on YouTube. The live is working perfectly fine. I have zero issues on YouTube, but when it comes to my community, for the past 20 minutes, it's been not working consistently. And this is a beautiful opportunity. 20 minutes of technical difficulties. That's 20 minutes of opportunity for me to just stay calm and to not let any of this get to me. We got this. Let me see. Mm, MacBook built-in, default, star audio. They can see my screen, but they can't hear me. Oh man, he cannot make this up. He can't make it up. They can see my screen, but they can't hear me. All right, let's see. See how GU ends up playing out, then I can be able to. I'll just redo breaking down this trade. That's the beautiful part about it. Just being calm and collected is. I knew exactly how I got into the trade. It's very simple for me to break it down. They told me I had to request to speak. Interesting. Okay. I'm here. They won't even let me unmute my mic. Alright. You got it. There's no I don't understand why the audio is not working. You know what? I don't know why the audio isn't working for my stream. It just be gone. This is the first time this has happened too. Never any other time. It's working perfectly on YouTube. GU's pushing up right now too. GU's actually almost at take profit. I'm up a 1 to 2 yet. If I'm up a 1 to 2, I'm actually up over a 1 to 2. So I'm up a 1 to 2 now. So I'm going to move my stop loss to a 1 to 1, which would be right here. Being up a 1 to 2. Now I'm gonna move my stop loss to a 1 to 1. Stop loss is gonna be currently right here at this 1 to 1 mark. And now I'm just going to continue to let the trade play out. That was a beautiful entry. Beautiful execution. You know what I've observed? This screen that's on OBS, is it frozen? It is. Let me see. Screen only. It is. I've just observed this entire time. This screen was frozen. GU is nowhere near where it's at right now. Okay. Interesting. Let's do this. Um, it's amazing, man. With all these things that's going on, it has to be a message. It has to be a message. And I look at it as an opportunity for me, honestly, to just stay calm, stay collected, because literally nothing that I can do about all of this that's happening. Uh, Let me see. Method built in now. HP. Boom. Okay. And put that on top of no. Put this on top of this. Perfect. There we go. There we go. We should be in the game now. There we go. We got it. We got it. We got it. We should be good now. Screen. Yeah, we going back to Zoom. We gonna have to go back to Zoom. We gonna have to go back to Zoom, guys, because this is not it. We are going to just adjust. Uh, take this as an opportunity. I'm grateful for this opportunity to just learn and adjust and see, what works, what doesn't work. See the opportunities. But for this, and I'm learning it. We are going back to Zoom because Zoom is so much easier, and I'll try to figure out a different platform for us to use that's better. But let me break this down. I want to break down this GU trade. Let me actually send this link in the chat as well too, just so everybody can have it and join. Let me see. Let me paste this here. And then I'm gonna break down this GU trade. Because what I'm gonna do now is since my stop is I was up a 1 to 2, now I'm moving my stops to a 1 to 1. According to my system, every time I'm up a 1 to whatever R multiple, I will move my stop loss up in R multiple because I'll never be up I might be up more than I might have been up more than a 1 to 2. No, I was up a 1 to 2.2, so a 1 to 1 would be a little bit close to where price just wicked at. Because I had my stop loss below here. My stop loss roughly around here. So 1 to 1 would be at 1.344. Alright, so I'm gonna move my stop loss up here to that 1 to 1 mark. And now just let the trade continue to play out. I see a minor area in between where prices, that's that 4 hour zone that price is rejecting right now. I want to see how it closes, but it's still what, 9 o'clock. It's a whole bunch more hours until that actually does happen. Let me make sure all of this is set up. Zoom and stream on here. Let me see. Make sure yeah, you guys can see my screen. Make sure, let me pull up the chat. Chat is good. Boom, we are good. We are good. So I can close this and close that because I don't need that. And we'll just put the chat right here. All right, cool. So yeah, you guys should be able to chat and everything. Just send a text in the chat real quick, just to make sure everything is good. If you guys can hear me and if you guys everything is good, just send a text in the chat. Everything's all right. Perfect, perfect. All right, let's get active. So when it came to this GU trade, just breaking it down simple. I'm gonna just monitor this, see if price stops me out here in a little bit. But when it came to this GU trade, what I've observed and noticed, the market was trading bullish. This setup that's playing out, I was looking at the setup potentially Sunday, but what happened, price came all the way back down into support and it shot up. Looking at current market structure, current what's going on now, looking at my key areas, price is trading at this major area of support. And what I've observed and looked at is when price came up, it rejected support, rejected resistance, came down, created a higher low, then it actually closed back above this area. Then it came back down to retest. And once I've observed this, I went down to the 1 hour time frame and I looked at my internal areas where I could potentially look to take buys. This was the first area that I identified. This was the major area, and then this was this previous area of resistance where you can see these bodies, because I always draw my support resistance on the bodies and not the wicks. Price did not close above this area for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. Price broke above, came down, and I've observed and looked at it and see that if the market is asking for a meeting code, I got you. Let me see. Let me send Teresa this meeting code real quick. Where's that at? How do I find it? Participants, invite, name, passcode. Let me see. MQ7 UB9. All right, so when it came to this, I've observed and looked at it and seen that price came down into this area of support. And once I've observed this, this is when I went down to the 5 minute time frame for my entry. And I seen that price was consolidating at this area of support. And all I was simply waiting for was that confirmation that price was actually holding as support, which price came down. And then once I got this bullish engulfing candlestick, the body actually closed above the wick and the close of down here, but the body closed above this wick. So I got my bullish engulfing candlestick, the confirmation that I needed to enter. Decided to enter here. I gave my stop loss enough breathing room below this area, because what I determined based on the system is that if price fails to maintain above this area support and it started trading and breaking back below this area, then this setup is not valid because this is a break and retest setup, and this setup wouldn't have been valid because with a break and retest, what price does is hold at that area of support resistance. And if price fails to hold at this area of support, then that invalidates the break and retest setup. Then I would look to have gotten out right here, and then I would have looked to see if the market came back down into here and would have potentially taken buys, or if it broke below here, taken sells. But this was the break and retest setup. Entered and price just started trading up from here. And just looking at current internal structure, what happens, how I do my system and my trade management is every time when I'm up a 1 to 1, I just let the market do its thing. But when I'm up a 1 to 2, when I'm up double of what I risked, I always move my stop loss to a 1 to 1. I don't move it to break even because I'm not going to be up double of what I made and end up not making any money at all. So I'm not going, and I don't just close the position because the whole point of the system is to maximize the profit, minimize the risk. And for me to just keep on closing and closing and closing, that doesn't make sense. I'm not maximizing my profit. Even if I'm like securing partial profits, that's not maximizing my profit, because I'm losing my overall potential for the trade. I would rather close at that 1 to 1 point, because I was already up double of my risk. I will at least make back what my initial risk was. And if there's an opportunity for me to get back in again later on, I'll do that. By the end of this trade, if price does stop me out at this 1 to 1 here in a couple of minutes, if it does, but if price stops me out at this 1 to 1 and I end up securing at a 1 to 1, and the setup is still valid for price to, as long as price maintains above here, just because this trade closes as a 1 to 1, that does not mean the overall setup, the overall flow will be a 1 to 1. By the end of price getting all the way up to here, this could be a 1 to 5, a 1 to 7, 1 to 8, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. It just depends on what the market gives me, how many times I can scale in the opportunities that's presented. So that's how I look at it. I look at it as a flow state, as the overall flow of it. I don't look at it as every single individual trade has to be a 1 to 3. Now, my initial entry has to be a minimum of a 1 to 2 if I'm ever scaling in or starting the position. But me getting stopped out at a 1 to 1, if by the end of this flow state price comes all the way up to here and I secure it 1 to 4, 1 to 5, that's still that setup that I'm looking at. So that's what I'm gonna monitor here on GU. There's a few things. Anything can happen. Price is respecting this area of resistance. Price could potentially come back down into this area. If it does come back down into here, that would have stopped me out of a 1 to 1, and I would just look to get back in again later on, because what price could do is come back down here, reject this area, hold support, and I could look to get back in again here, and then look to flow with it some more. So that's what I'm going to be monitoring, see what the market does. There was a previous area of resistance right here as well too. I know since this is on a 5 minute time frame, I'm not gonna mark it off. I'm gonna just observe it and see that this was this area right here within this zone. I'm observing it from this zone right here. If price continues to maintain and it does give me a entry confirmation, I can enter again here and have my stop losses below this area of support, and this will be another break and retest setup here where price has to actually maintain and hold a support. That's 1, 2, 3 rejections. Since this is a 5 minute zone, I can look at it and see what's going on here. Price is creating this. I'm not gonna enter here because price didn't close above here. It didn't give me that bullish candlestick, and what I see right now is just these higher lows that are forming. Even though price is rejecting and holding a support, I want to see that structure shift. I want to see that momentum come in and that break above the highs. Then I would have looked to scaled in. So me not doing that is not just jumping in. I don't like to just scale in just to scale in and assume the market is going to continue to keep going up. I would rather just wait, observe, and take an entry based on that. Because right now, price had this lower high, lower low, high, higher low, shifted structure here on this 5 minute. So if I'm looking at like structure wise, when it comes to this, this is this higher low, that form right here. So price has all of this room to do what it wants to do. Really, as long as price doesn't break below here, because this is the higher low here, so price can come and do all of it wants to do within this area as long as it doesn't break below here. If it starts breaking below here, that's structure shifting. And I could potentially look to see what happens later on, but for right now, as long as price doesn't break below here, if I get a shift of structure back to the upside, I could look to scale in and add another position. I don't know if did I get stopped out yet? Yeah, I did. I got stopped out at a 1-to-1 just now. So now I'm going to continue to keep looking to flow up into the main area. I can take this off and just monitor this, see how it plays out. It's 13 minutes left until this 1 hour candle closes. The higher lows right there where that 5 minute was. See what happens. If I can get that higher low, then I can look to scaling again. I want to make this clean, take this off, just monitor from this aspect of things. Is price going to do whatever it wants to do? I'm not going to assume that price is going to come back down into this area of support, because if price stops right here and creates a higher low, that's still maintaining above this area of support, because that is just a gap of the area of support. It's still an overall, just like right here when price never came back down into this point, all it did was just reject this point right here. It gapped it right here and it continued to keep heading bullish. So for me, I'm not just looking at a line, I'm looking at the actual candlestick analysis and the actual candlestick anatomy of what is going on within the candlesticks right now. It is bearish. The 5 minute is bullish. The overall 5 minute structure is bullish, but this candlestick is not aligning with the bullish momentum. I need to see 5 minute, 1 minute. I need to see these align with bullish structure for me to look to take a trade. Potential shoulder, head, higher low, shoulder, inverted head and shoulders, potentially. Potential inverted head and shoulders. Price is now trading back out in the area of support. Still a minute and 30 seconds left. I'm gonna wait until this candlestick closes to see what it does. I gotta wait a minute anyway, so regardless of what's forming now, the actual candlestick closure will tell me what I need to know. Price rejected this area again. Now, since I see that rejection, now I just have to be patient and wait and see if I get an opportunity. Because if I'm looking at it from a position standpoint, entry, take profit is up into the highs of resistance range, up into the highs up here, resistance range. Here, still looking to flow up into the same area, same point. I'll monitor this on a 1 minute time frame on my phone. Higher opportunity. Patience. See, patience. I didn't jump in on the first entry. Following the system beautifully. Didn't jump in right here because the structure was still trading bearish. Just because price rejected the area, I'm not just about to jump in here. Price just rejected it. It did the same exact thing here. When I look at the 1 minute time frame, I still see low, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Now, if that higher low forms, that's different because I know that higher low is forming in this overall uptrend. I'll see how this 1 minute candle does close. Price came back down and gave me a rejection here. Now, depending on what these next few candles tell me would be the decision. I'm gonna take this off. I don't need this because I can just look at candlestick analysis. Price was trading low, lower high. This low, lower high, lower low, lower high, higher low. 19 seconds left. This candlestick will tell me if I'm going to enter in this candlestick or not. If it closes above, I'm entering. If it doesn't, I'm not entering. all we can see is as long as price maintains and holds above this area, then to me buys are valid. If price, I'm not gonna have a stop. I'm not gonna have a tight stop loss right here. That's foolish. Put my stop loss in a place that would invalidate the setup. If price starts breaking below support, then this setup is no longer valid. And all I'm gonna do is just now it's just a matter of just patience and just waiting. Setting some alerts. I'll set an alert down here at the low of this. No, what is this? I'm gonna set an alert down here at the low of this candle. Oh, they must have updated it. It looks completely different. Same thing. But I'm setting an alert here, and I'm also going to set another alert at the high if price breaks above the high. And that is it. That is literally it. I'm just gonna let the market do its thing. I'm not about to sit here and stare at this. So what we can do is go over some things that I've observed. And if you guys have any questions before we go over anything, definitely let me know. But for right now, since I'm in the trade and now all I gotta do is just wait and see what it wants to do, it's no point in me sitting here and staring at GU. Because that's not, I'm not about to sit here and just wait for hours. I do want to see if there's any news that comes in. No, there's no news. Let me see if there's anything that comes out this week. If anybody has any questions, definitely ask me. Ask away. If you have any questions, anything that you want to say, feel free to do so. And there's no major news that comes out today. CPI is tomorrow. GDP for the pound is Friday. Daily. Yeah, CPI is tomorrow. That'll be interesting for the market. Can you look at gold? Yeah, of course. What do you want me to do with gold? Like break it down or do a top down analysis on gold? I can do that. Gold has the potential to push up here right now where price is trading at because price broke above and it closed above here and actually retesting and is holding above this area. Looking at this, yeah, price was trading within this range and then price finally broke and closed. Well, it'll look a little bit not as clean right here on that because of 4 hour time frame. This is the excuse me, this is the resistance range here. Price was in this range for a while now, like a week. And price is finally breaking above. It finally closed above here. Came down the next candles, just the difference. These candles, the next few candles after it broke above, it came right back below, broke above, right back below. Rejected, came down. This one it broke above and it's actually still staying above right now. So when it comes to just looking at gold, this higher low, this high price is maintaining above this higher low. It held a support. Price actually closed above here Now it's the matter of, is price going to come back down into this area? If price comes back down and holds as support and it fails to actually break back below here, then there's a high probability that the market could create a higher low here and then potentially continue to keep going back up into the highs. And then the next resistance range that I would see on gold would be looking left, this area right here will be the next area of resistance for gold to potentially head to. It's this minor area right here that it already rejected. If I wanted to mark this one off as well, I could, but price just rejected this area. I wouldn't, if I was taking trades here, I would have had this marked off. So I could just keep it here because this could be the next support area as well. Because just looking left, this held as support, this held as resistance. So just looking at gold, if I were to look for a setup and take a buy on gold, all I would simply do is right now where it's currently trading at is that no trade zone. I would simply just wait for one of the two things, because what could easily happen is if I were to take a trade right now in the middle, what could happen is price could come up here, create a double top, and then come back down into this area. If I were to take a trade right here in the middle, what could happen is price could come back down into this area of support. Because if I were to take a trade right now, my stop loss will have to be in a place that would invalidate this setup. If I were to put my stop loss right here, putting my stop loss right here would not invalidate the trade, would not invalidate this setup. This is not even a setup in itself. That's why I can't take the trade. If I was looking to take a trade, for one, this isn't a setup because I can't classify this as any setup. I can't classify this as a break and retest. I can't classify this as a bounce play. I can't classify this as a domain expansion or a breakout. I can't classify this as a setup. But if I were to take a trade right here, just based off of a tweezer bottom and a higher low, and I'm not taking into account the key areas, and I would just take a buy here. And if I were to put my stop loss below here, that's invalidating the setup. Even if price were to just shoot up here, that's not a part of my playbook. That's not a part of my system, and I'm not going to do that. And I would just wait, because if I put my stop loss below here and price breaks below here, that doesn't invalidate the buys. Now, if I had a stop loss below here, that'd be different because that's an area of resistance. If price breaks below here, I'm most likely wrong. So how I would look at this is be very, very patient. Wait for price to pull back down into previous support and see if it successfully holds the support. Then I can look for buys up into the resistance range into the highs. Or I would wait for price to actually break above resistance, hold as support, and then I can have a valid stop loss below there, and I can look to take buys up into this next resistance range. So what gold is currently trading at, that is what I would look for buys. For me to look for sells, price would have to actually start breaking back below this area of support. Because if price breaks back below here, that means price is trading back in between this big range that price had. And I could potentially start looking for sells back down into this area of support there. That is the system. That's what I would look for in gold if I were looking to take a buy position. Very simple. It gets to the point sometimes, right, where I've observed this, and this is really something I've observed, and it really made me more cautious. Not more cautious, but I've observed how true really is for me and my systems. Whenever, and this goes for a bad habit and a good habit, a bad system and a good system. For me, whenever a system that I have starts to become boring or starts to become natural and it's just normal to me. Let's just say like normal, and I don't have that dopamine rush. I don't have that excitement, not in a bad way, but when something just becomes normal, that's how I know that that system is working. That's how I know that that system is finally I've adapted to the system. That's how I know if I adapted to my system or not. And when it comes to the trading aspect of things, I've observed that because even though I have emotions, because the market could just shoot up, shoot down, and you have those emotions, we all have emotions. That's not the thing. It's the fact that when I see my system play out, I'm not surprised. And I'm not like, oh, well, I've seen it play out so many times. So that comes from following the system, not just creating the system, because that dopamine, that initial honeymoon phase, we could call it, it comes from when you actually create that system and you actually start to see it playing out for the first few times and the first couple of times. Like you've put in the work and you see the system plays out. That's where that honeymoon phase is at. That's where you have those emotions. You get excited. When prime example, every last one of us, right? We are grateful to be able to walk, but we don't have the same excitement walking now that we did when we were babies and we first learned how to walk. When we first learned how to walk, think about it like this, right? Our parents, the same ones that when we first learned how to walk, they were the main ones cheering us on. Every single time we learned how to walk, every time we got up and tried, they were absolutely astonished. They were cheering us on, so much hype, and we laughed, we had so much fun every time we learned how to walk. Right? Now we look at it as where we're at now. Our parents don't cheer us on for walking. We don't even cheer ourselves on for walking. Why? Because this system has just become so natural. It's become so normal to us that we don't even think about it. Walking is just something that we normally do. And once a system, whether it's a good habit or a bad system, once it becomes normal like that, that's how you know that system is working. And that's how you determine if you are doing the good systems or if you're doing the bad systems. And for the trading aspect of things, for me it's to the point where I know the system works. I've seen it play out. So when I see the system play out and I see the market does certain things, it doesn't boost up my confidence. It doesn't make me more confident. It's just confirmation because I already know, it works. So seeing what gold is doing now, for example, like seeing gold coming back down into the area of support, that's a part of the system. I've seen it play out, and that comes from actually following the system. The only way for you to have that point of clarity to where the system becomes normal is you have to actually, let me see, 1 second. Okay, yeah, price is at the low of GU. Potentially, potentially get stopped out here. But when it comes to the system, right? When it comes to gold, even prime examples like that of me losing a trade, I understand that my system doesn't have 100% win rate. So even when I take losses now, losses are just normal. I don't beat myself up. I don't do any of that. I just take the loss. And 1 second. Oh, I gotta upgrade because it says that the time is about to run out for this webinar. I gotta, since we're using Zoom again, I gotta upgrade to the Pro. Give me, let me see something. If this cuts off, what I'm gonna do is, yeah, boy. Man. If this cuts off, what I'm gonna do is just, interesting. Give me a second. I gotta get the Pro back on Zoom so we can actually do the full recordings. If this cuts off, I'm gonna just send another link and we'll just come back to the topic that I was talking about. So many things happened on this call for the first like 20, 30 minutes. It's very interesting. Let me see. Let's see if we can actually do it in WAP, but I'm gonna send another link. I'm gonna text you guys in the chat. Give me a second. I remember school now says recording. If school allows me to just record it all in there, I'll definitely just do that as well. Definitely appreciate that tip. Yeah, school allows me to. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, for sure. For sure. If school is like WAP where I can just go live straight off of school, then yeah, there's no point in me upgrading to Zoom. I can just do it. Just we could just switch over to WAP. Yeah, it can. Oh, so you can just record just like how it is in WAP. We can just go, oh, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I'll just do that then. I'll just do that. I'll just switch over. I'll look into school today and we can switch back over to school because I think when I first started using school for the business, I think that was like the beginning stages of school, like when school was just starting off, so they didn't have the upgrades that they have now. So boom, boom, boom. All right, cool. All right, so back to the topic at hand, right? But it's fairly new update, perfect. But when it comes to the systems, right? I've observed this like even when I take losses, right? Like for example, here on GU, boom. Like even here on GU, just took a loss. Took a loss right after I took a win, taking the exact same setup. Well, that one was a bounce play. That one was in the break and retest. This setup right here was a bounce play that I took here. This one was the break and retest because price came down here. Well, this could be classified as a bounce play here too because price created at the bottom. So if I'm looking at it like this aspect, I took a bounce play here. This one played out. I took a bounce play here. This one didn't play out. And I understand that even with the system, I can take a loss and still be perfectly fine. Like right now, I know that the market is still bullish. If I were to take another entry, I would wait for price to close back above, hold a support. I'll look for buys here again, stop loss below here, and I'll look to target back up into the highs. Same scenario. But when your system becomes to the point where it becomes boring and it becomes normal, you don't waver, that's how you know it's working. And I've observed that, especially the past few days when I was working out, that's when it really clicked to me because my system that I have that I'm incorporating that I'm going to use to unlock the planche and the front lever is the same exact system that I've used to unlock every single skill that I've ever unlocked. It's the exact same system. And I've observed that every last one of those systems, like for example, the handstand, now it's to the point where I warm up with handstands. Handstands are fairly simple to me, and I don't get excited by doing handstands unless I'm doing combos. But if I'm just doing regular handstands, that's just normal to me. Doing when I first started training planche, I had that excitement. I was super excited to train planche, and I just had so much excitement because that's something new to me. And now it's to the point where it's just the system that I'm doing, the workouts that I'm doing, the training that I have in place, it becomes normal. So I know that With me continuing to do this, the planche and the front lever are going to be unlocked because I've already applied it to every other skill that I've ever unlocked. And the beautiful part that I love about this, it's a lot deeper than just becoming boring. Because what it does is you no longer have a dopamine hit. Whenever you start anything new, when we all first got into trading, we had that dopamine rush, that excitement, seeing the profits, seeing all the possibilities, the lifestyles. We had that dopamine rush. It gets to the point where that dopamine rush starts to run out. And that is when the true level happens. True level up happens. When you're no longer going off of dopamine, you're no longer going off of motivation or inspiration. And now it's just pure obedience and discipline. You can be, obedience is easy when you have a dopamine rush. When you're first starting, think about every single thing that you first started learning how to do. You started going to the gym, you started learning how to cook, you started learning how to drive. That's dopamine in the initial stages, that excitement that you have. Of course, you're going to want to go do it every single day. When you first start working out and going to the gym, the way that your body feels, of course, you want to start doing that. That's why, and this is how you observe it in the world. Think about all these systems that the world has in place. The whole New Year's resolution, right? That is one system where you can easily observe what I'm saying. That's a, if I were to give an analogy, let's look at New Year's. When people make New Year's resolutions, they have that initial dopamine rush of, I'm going to start this, I'm going to start taking care of my health, I'm going to start my business, I'm going to create this vision board, I'm going to start working out and going to the gym, I'm going to truly take this serious. And within the first couple of weeks or even months, they have that initial dopamine rush. But it gets to the point where that dopamine rush, that adrenaline, it starts to run out. And that's where you see the repetitive system of, at March, around this time right now, those same people, majority of those people, they no longer go to the gym like how they did every other day. They no longer push themselves how they did. They're no longer taking care of their health. Why? Because that initial dopamine ran out. And when you're in a constant cycle, and the world that we're filled in is dopamine driven. So you become in this constant cycle of constantly seeking more dopamine, seeking more and more and more. That's why social media is so dangerous. And that's what I've observed. When you keep on trying to seek dopamine rushes, that workout program that you was following for the first 3 weeks, it works, but you no longer have that dopamine rush. So what you immediately do is start switching it up, start changing things around so you can get that dopamine rush again. And then you go through that constant cycle. And that's why you keep on looking at different videos, trying to find the best workout split, the best workout program. That's why when it comes to trading, you will find a system that actually works, but you no longer have that dopamine rush no more. So now you feel like you need to switch things up. Now you need to add this or do that. You're constantly seeking that dopamine rush, and that's where destruction comes from. When you take the time to step back and to just allow the system to be it and understand that it's okay. You don't need the dopamine rushes. Dopamine rushes is actually destructive. It destroys you so much. It brings so much harm to you. That's why everything is dopamine driven. Social media is so dopamine driven because all you can do, every single app you go on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, it doesn't matter. Every single app, there's a constant repetitive motion that you all do, that we all do, and that is that you can't see me, but that's this swiping, swiping, swiping. It gets to the point, and I've observed this, it gets to the point where you just start swiping just to swipe. You would just go on like your email and just start swiping. The reason why that system is in place, because every time you swipe, you get a dopamine rush. This isn't a, and there's a reason why the screens is built the way that it's built. There's a reason why there's only one video that shows at a time. Because every single time you swipe up, you get a dopamine rush because now you don't know what the next video is going to be. You don't know what the next video is going to be until you actually swipe and you see it. Swipe, swipe, swipe. And what that system does, it constantly gets you into this cycle of seeking dopamine, and you can't just be still for a second. So that's why for me, and I've observed this, when it comes to the systems that are good, that work, like for example my trading, it's becoming natural, normal. Like right now, seeing the market shoot up and shooting down, and even with emotions, understanding that I know how the system works, I know what to do to follow the system, and just waiting for it to play out. If it doesn't play out within a time frame that I'm sitting here, I will set my alert, go about my day, come back later on. And what happens is you stop seeking dopamine, you stop seeking that money dopamine. um when you detach and stop, understand, this is something key, right? Truly change my mindset and what the Lord, what the Most High has showed me. Money is a defense, but money is so temporary, man. Money is just it's fake. It's temporary. Your $100 that you have is not the same $100 worth that it was 10 years ago. Chasing money over and over and over again, and what the system has done. And I had this thought as I was leaving the park yesterday from working out. The system is, you go to school for 30% of your life. You work for 65% of it, and you enjoy the last 5% of it. Because on average people live to 70, 80 years old, roughly around there on average, maybe 60 to 80. Most of our younger days, it's interesting how the system works, because our youthful days are the most important. That's why the word tells us to be like babes, learn from the babes. It talks about all the things about the children. There's a reason why. Think of the agendas that's being placed. Why are children being sacrificed? Why is the agendas being pushed so hard on the children? The enemy knows this. Satan knows the Bible better than every last one of us. He knows that the children are the key. Our youthful days are very, very important. That's why the word says to avoid youthful lusts. That's why the word says that I would have the women marry young. That's why it says all these things. When you look at the kings in the Bible, these people became kings at 9 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old. Because in their youthful days, they were doing the will, they were doing what they were called to do. They wasn't being consumed by the system. The system teaches us the opposite. It teaches us in our youthful days to learn how to be a slave. That's what the system taught us from elementary school to college. The system, that what school is a system that teaches you to learn how to be a slave. That's what the system is. It teaches you how to be a slave, because like we looked up the definition of what is slavery, and I'll pull it back up again because that definition is, it's so real. Let's go to it. Let me go here. Let's see, what is slavery? Pull this up here. Let me make sure it is sharing on the screen. You guys can see my screen, right? Let me make sure. Can you guys see my screen? Yes, perfect. You guys can see, okay, all of it. Let me make sure. I want to make sure all of it is shown. All right, cool. So this is the definition of slavery. Slavery is a system of forced labor and severe restriction of liberty, where people are treated as property to be bought, sold, and exploited without consent. Enslaved individuals are coerced into work, often facing violence and lack of basic human rights. While officially abolished worldwide, it persists today in forms like human trafficking, forced marriages, and debt bondage. Being in debt, that's slavery as well too. So think about it. Once again, the system it teaches us to become slaves. Debt bondage. Being in debt, that's slavery. That's why they push us to go to college, rack up a whole bunch of debt so we can graduate. They're literally teaching us how to be slave. So all throughout elementary school, all throughout high school, all throughout college, we were looking so much forward to getting that degree, to getting these jobs, and the whole idea behind it is we're going to teach you how to be a slave. We're going to teach you how to obey commands. What we're going to do is this is why the word tells us to be like babes, right? Let's break this down. Let's truly break down what it means to be like a babe, be like a child, and we have to understand how a child is. As a child, think about all of us when we were children. Children, if you have children, if you were a child, if you have younger siblings as a child, what is the same similar characteristic traits of all children at first? Not until they got programmed, but at first. The number one thing, if you guys had to give me characteristic traits of children before the programming, I want you guys to give me some characteristic traits that you guys observed as well as a child, as a children, before the programming. Because we'll talk about the program, but before programming, what's common characteristic traits that all children and babies, um, all of them, both share? I love that. I love that. Teresa said, fearless, innocent, and vulnerable. I love those words. Those are very powerful. I really love those. I love those. I love those. Fearless, innocent, and powerful. I mean, not powerful, vulnerable. I love those. That is actually beautiful. Yes, fearless. Children, they are never afraid of things. They're very curious. Their curiosity is on a whole different level. They don't know right from wrong. They will go play with a snake. They will go do anything. They don't know. They're very fearless. They're innocent. And like you said, they're very vulnerable. Very vulnerable. That's the very, very key word. But as a child, their curiosity is on a whole different level. And think about it. As a child, it doesn't take a lot to please them. Have you observed that? It doesn't take a lot to please a child. A baby, a baby that's crying, a baby doesn't need TV or none of that. You simply get a baby and they're crying and you just rock them, just rock them, and then boom, they're calm. A child, they don't need much. They don't need a lot to be grateful. They don't need a lot to be happy. They don't need a lot of food. They don't need to constantly keep consuming food. They're good with the little bit that they have, right? They don't need a constant rush of these things. As a child, those are the characteristic traits of a child, right? Curiosity, fearlessness, vulnerable, innocent. And but this is before the programming. That's why the word tells us to be like this. But what happens after the programming? Now, what they teach us, and parents do this without even knowing, right? Without even knowing. Schools do this, the teachers do this without knowing, but the system knowingly does it. The system know what it's doing. The teachers, a lot of teachers don't know. But what happens is you slowly start to get programmed. You start getting yelled at for your curiosity. At first, as a child used to be praised for failing. When we learned how to walk, we were praised for failing. But guess what? Once we start getting into school, we start getting scrutinized for failing. You fail a test, now you could potentially fail a grade, you get a lower score, and now you're classified as being dumb. You get laughed at, you get joked at because you don't have a good grade. Everybody else got 80s, 90s, 100s. You got a 50. Now you're classified as the dumb person. You get held back. You aren't, when you try to ask questions and speak out against things, it's what the teacher says, your word doesn't matter. So what it does is slowly programs you to be a slave to the system. That's what this is all meant to be. That's why we have to be like babes and we have to unlearn and relearn the truth. Unlearn and relearn how to actually live. As a baby, think about it, as a child, this is if you correlate and understand what the word says and correlate everything to being like a babe, as a child does not care about Lamborghinis. A child does not care about the nicest car. A child can be driving in a on a scooter and be just as happy as a child driving in a Lamborghini. A child can have knockoff like $2 clothes, right? They don't care about the price of their clothes, and that child will be the same as excited as a child in Gucci. They don't care. They don't care about fame or attention. As a child, they don't care about trying to have all the likes. They don't try to have all the views. They don't care about that. Children could care less about any of those things. But look what happens. Look at where we're at now. The same children that we were back then, that we had all of these characteristic traits, ask yourself that now. Do you still have those same characteristic traits? Do you still have those same characteristic traits? That curiosity mindset that you had as a child. We all had it. We all had that fearlessness as a child. We were all vulnerable. We all had that mindset. And ask yourself now, do I still have that same characteristic traits as a child? Majority of us, it's no, because we've been programmed to go away from that. And now what we have to do is identify that, break free from the system, identify those systems, and now we have to put the systems in place that gets us back to being like a child, being like that babe mindset. We got to stop caring. We got to ask ourselves and just analyze the child. What is it the characteristic? Okay, they don't care about the cars. They don't care about money. They don't care about fame. They don't care about status. They don't care about all of that. So let me walk in that. Let me stop caring about the money. Let me stop caring about how much money is in my banking account or X, Y, and Z. Think about it as a child once again. When they were, when we were spending time and playing with children, playing with the other children, we did not care a single bit about how much money was in their banking account. That that didn't make us look at this person any different than the other. What made us look at people differently as a child was how they carried themselves and how they act. We was even curiosity. Even on top of that, another thing as a child as well is we mimic a lot. We mimic a lot because think about it. We would copy our parents. That's how we learn how to speak. Think about it. That's how we learn how to speak. We mimic the conversations that were going on around us. So when you put a child in an environment of when you're mimicking the system that they want you to do, we're going to naturally adapt to that. We are very, very adaptive people. We have been formed to be able to adapt. Yah formed us so we can be able to adapt to situations, to adapt to anything, right? And that's what we're able to do. And when the enemy knows this, he's like, how can I make them adapt to my system? Not Yah's system. How can I make them adapt to his system? And that's what he's getting us to do. So we have to observe that and put that into place. So the main thing is to analyze the systems that you currently follow. Analyze the and see where the alignment is and see where that system is taking you. If it doesn't matter what system it is, it could be your fitness, it could even be in the fitness industry, right? Because the system that I used to follow, for example, my testimony of it, I got it's a video that I made that talked about it. But I used to when I first got into the fitness, I never cared about the physique or anything, but I started following the system and I started getting those dopamine rushes from the new workouts, the meal plans, the calorie tracking. I started getting those dopamine rushes and it was all in vanity. And I told myself, I said I vividly remember the time in my whole entire journey where I was in the best shape mentally and physically when it comes to the fitness aspect of things. It was when I was on a plant-based diet. And it wasn't from the plant-based diet itself. It wasn't just eating plants. No. It was during that season. I vividly remember I wasn't tracking calories and I was practicing intermediate fasting all the time, every day. And I wasn't trying to seek out, like, I wasn't trying to eat X, Y, and Z meals a day. I wasn't focused on that. Even with my workouts, I wasn't trying to follow somebody else's workout plan. I was just flowing and having and doing what I love doing. And I said, yo, I want to apply that. And now, when it comes to me, I don't track calories. I'd eat meat now. But I don't look at food as a statistic no more. I look at food as nourishment, the way that Yah intended it to be, the way that He created it to be. I don't follow all the workout systems, all the workout plans. I follow my own system. And I show up every day. Like I practice intermediate fasting every day as well. Now it's different because fasting for me now is not the same that it was before. When I first started fasting, that was different because I that was fasting was new to me. So I couldn't fast for longer periods of time. It was a lot more challenging, so I could just go maybe a couple of hours. Um, and I had to actually be cautious of it. Now I've fasted so many times to where fasting is actually natural and easy to me now. So the period that I fast is a little bit longer. So now I do a 20-hour fast. 20 however many. It's literally it's like a 20-hour fast. And then I would give myself a 4-hour window to eat. And after that, then I won't eat no more. And I only eat after I'm done working out, and I don't work out until later on at night. So, for example, what my system looks like is this. If I go work out at, well, I'll just tell you like what yesterday was. Yesterday, I went to go work out at around 7 p.m. and I finished at around 9-ish, and I ate my first meal at, I want to say 10:30. Yeah, 10:30, like around 10:30-ish. So if I ate my first meal at 10:30, that means I have until 2:30 to eat the meals. And I ate my first meal. It was steak, eggs, and some sauerkraut, if I'm not mistaken. And it was like some rice and like some flax seeds and just natural stuff. And then I didn't eat anything else after that. So for example, now I'm gonna do the same exact thing. So all throughout the day, all I do is just drink a bunch of water and like coconut water or let's say teas, like ginger teas and turmeric and cayenne, like all those like natural things, right? And then I'll go work out, and then after I work out, then I'll do the same exact process. And to me, observing doing this, it works so much better for me because majority of the things that I do, like my calls and everything, it's during a fasted state. And I also have so much more clarity when I'm fasted. It's a lot because I'm not focused on food. I'm not trying to make a meal and trying to prepare a meal or whatever. So I can just do this all throughout the day, and then I work out fasted because for me personally, working out fasted is the best workouts possible. I love working out fasted. For me, and then on top of that, what I've observed is I'm more appreciative of food. I'm a lot more grateful for food because I'm not sitting here eating food every single time that I get hungry, every single hour, I'm not eating 4 or 5 meals a day. And now it's when I eat, I'm truly grateful for the meals that I have. I take my time when I eat. I don't rush to eat no more. I savor the blessing of the meal that I have. And it's just those small things, those small systems that's in place. But I had to break free from that other system uh in order to get this. So it's always identifying. The main thing is identifying the system that you're currently following. Just examine yourself. Is the system that you're following, is it righteous or is it wicked? It's just as simple as that. Is it a righteous way of living? Is it, are you walking the narrow path or are you walking the broad path? Is it good or is it evil? There's only one or two ways. The system that you're following, it's only one of two ways. It's no in between because you can't won't serve two masters. Who are you serving with your system? Are you serving the flesh or are you serving the spirit? Just ask yourself that when it comes to the system. If your system, if it feeds into the flesh, if it feeds into gluttony, rage, lust, all these wicked things, then that system is feeding the flesh. And if what you're doing is feeding the spirit, you're going closer to God, you're growing closer within yourself, you're becoming set apart, you're coming from among the world, then that's how you know that the system that you're doing is aligned with. That's as simple as that. When it comes to your trading system, do the same exact thing. Is the trading system, is it feeding the flesh or is it feeding the spirit? When you trade, are you getting those dopamine? Are you trying to seek those dopamine rushes? Are you just trying to seek money? Are you just trying to seek like get rich quick? That's feeding the flesh versus something where if your system relies on emotions and it relies on you to follow your heart, that's not a valid system because the word never tells us to follow our heart. Never. It says the heart is actually wicked and deceitful above all things. It tells us to guard our heart. What the system, I mean, not what the system, the word tells us to train our hearts. It doesn't tell us to follow our hearts, it tells us to train our hearts. Because any man that looks at a woman and lusts after her committeth adultery already in his heart. So if you just look at a woman and lust after her, you already committed adultery in your heart. So the heart is deceitful. Retrain our hearts, not follow our hearts. So if your system relies on emotions, if a move in a market happens and you start relying on your emotions to get in and out of the trade, that's feeding the flesh, not the spirit. If your system is calm throughout the storm, anything can happen in the market and your system is able to react and adjust to it, that aligns with the spirit because there's a time and season under the sun for everything. And if your system can react to any season under the sun, that's alignment. And that's how you can audit any system that you have. Just take the time to truly dive deep in that system, whether it's trading, whether it's emotions, the way that you speak, the way that you carry yourself. If you get angry a lot, analyze that. What's those cues? Why do you get so angry? Why are you such an angry person? What causes you to get angry? How quick do you get angry? If you truly, really want to grow and truly, really want to become better and grow yourself, you got to actually really take the time to analyze yourself. These are the stats, if you want to call it, that actually matter. LeBron's stats does not matter. How much your followers you have on social media does not matter. What the Kardashians is doing does not matter. None of that stuff's matter. The actual stats that matter is determining that and being able to analyze yourself. Okay, I've observed that I get angry when the situation happens. I get angry after X, Y, and Z. After this period happens, or when these type of things happen, I get angry. When these type of cues pop up, this is when I start to fall into lust. This is when I start to fall short. When these things happen in the market, this is when my emotions start to heighten. When I start to break my system, when I start to break my rules. Determine that. Can you guys, if you guys had to all tell me, can you say, and this is another way as well, if you can't say it off the top, then that means you aren't as observant of it. If I asked all of you right now and just say yes or no, off the top of your head, can you tell me right now what exactly happens in the market and the repetitive system that happens in the market that you keep breaking your system, that you keep breaking your rules? Can you tell me right now off the top of your head without even thinking what happens in the market where you start breaking your rules? When you stop following your rules and you start following your emotions. Can you explain it to me off the top of your head right now? If the answer is yes, and you can clearly explain it, then you know what the issue is. You know what it is, and that was just a matter of being obedient and overcoming it. If you can't say it off the top, you have to be more observant of it. Pay more attention to it. Don't just brush off those moments where you break your system, where you break your rules. Actually, truly take the time to hone in and look at it and see, okay, at this point in time, I know that whenever big candles form, price starts moving aggressively at my area of support resistance. Not whenever, if it's in the middle of nowhere, that same big candle doesn't do nothing to me. But let's say it starts moving aggressively at my area. That's exactly when. If you're able to identify that, that is how you actually perfect your system. That is how you critique your system. That is how you can audit your system in your own way and to adjust it. That's how you can do it on your own. You just keep on instead of focusing on the money, focus on those emotions, focus on those key things. If you follow the system, that's how my system is now. I don't track the data that I used to track. I no longer need to do that anymore. Now all I track is, did I follow my system? Yes or no? Did I follow the trade management? Yes or no? And if it's ever a no, I will go back and identify and see the repetitive pattern. Where did I break my rules? Where did I say no when it came to my trade management? And I will go back and keep on analyzing that, and I will see a repetitive scheme start to come up. Okay, I start breaking my rules when this happens. And then when I observe that, now I'm observant of it. Now I've gotten acknowledged it. So now I put more emphasis on when that thing happens in the market. I don't care about no money. I care about when this happens, I'm not going to fall to that again. I'm not going to break this rule again. And I put more emphasis on that. And if the move plays out or whatever, I'm more excited and I'm more grateful and more happy because I actually am working on that. And then it gets to the point where that no longer becomes an issue. And you constantly keep seeking the next thing to improve on. It has to be a constant daily self examination. You have to keep on constantly seeking improvement, constantly seeking improvement. So that is pretty much it. I wanted to share that with you guys today. And I'm going to call it from here. And it's pretty much it. Now, when it comes to GU, got stopped out, came down, literally stopped me out a couple of pips and broke back above. There was no entry here. So I didn't get back in again here. But if price does give me a potential entry, potential, because I see this is ranging sideways, a potential domain expansion could be in the play and a little bit later. If not, then I'll just call it for the day and just go back and just set alerts. Yeah, I'll just set an alerts and see what the market does later on. If price comes down and creates a higher low within this overall range that is currently in right now, comes down and creates that higher low in that middle, that's a domain expansion. I'll look for the buys there, look to take buys out, and that is all I'm going to be looking for. Other than that, that's pretty much it that I wanted to chop it up about today. Tomorrow we'll go more. Look what gold did. Gold came back down into support. It held its support, rejected it, then it pushed back up into resistance. Now, yeah, I'm going to edit some content, edit some videos. I am starting a series on YouTube, which I'm actually really loving it. It's called The War Within. And I want to truly break down and go in depth on all of the spiritual things that we all deal with as humans, right? Like fear, lust, greed, all the like main things, and truly break down each one. So right now I'm starting off with lust, and it's gonna be like 8 to 10 episodes of it, truly breaking down lust. The first one was just talking about the war within. The next one that I'm going to talk about is the trap of pornography and how dangerous pornography is. So I'm going to create that today, and I just really want to start that series on YouTube. And I actually genuinely love that. And then I'll probably edit my workout one later on. But other than that, I will catch